We have a beautiful history, and we shall create another in the future, 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 in the future.
Then wake up.
Yes, that's what we're trying to do here on the Big G Galaxy outfit. The only de-brainwashing station. We're trying to wake up, our people, our nation, the next generation. We're trying to do that huge job of de-brainwashing and waking our people up. Rising up, the entire Galaxy family. Sister Shanice in the house.
When I look at where I'm coming from, I know I'm blessed, and I close my eyes and smile sometimes.
Join Sister Shanice every Wednesday on GalaxyFUEStation.net, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., the Black Empowerment Show. And on alternate Saturdays, Sister Shanice hosts the community talk show from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. For more talk shows, stories, interviews, and news, log into her YouTube channel, The Sister Shanice Show. Tune in for stories about us and for us.
None but ourselves can heal our kind,
Greetings, Galaxy Afiwi. Sister Shanice on the Big G, going to be taking you through to 1 p.m. UK time today. We're going to be recapping and concluding on the topic, do Africans have any friends? This is a topic that we've been discussing for several strongs now, and we have got to the point where we are going to conclude, okay? And then we're going to be introducing a new topic today with our brother Mama. We're going to be introducing the topic Afrocentrism education. And so listen out for that. We have our wonderful educational guest, Brother Mama, who's going to be coming to us in the show today. Then later this evening, family, at 8 p.m. on the Sister Shanice Show channel, we have the pleasure of our beloved brother Io Kimathi, a.k.a. Irritated Genie. Yes, he's going to be joining us a little later today. He is a social architect, author, lecturer, activist, controversial speaker. Yes, family, and he's going to be presenting on the show later today, live on YouTube. So that's going to be on the Sister Shanice Show channel, live on YouTube. The topic that he will be covering is why is the West putting pressure on Africa to adopt the LGBT agenda? What is it all about? Why is the West putting so much pressure? Why the Western pressure on Africa to adopt the LGBTQ agenda? So we're going to be talking about that 8 p.m. UK time, 7 p.m. GMT time. So we look forward to you joining us for that. That's the name of the track that you was just listening to there by Black Rasta. I want to rise up, Black Rasta, for keeping the name of Kwame Nkrumah alive. As I say, we never die as a people. The only time we die is when people forget us, when the family forgets us, when the community forgets us. That's when we die. But if during our lifetime we have impacted the lives of hundreds and of thousands and hundreds and thousands and even millions of people, the more lives we impact during our lifetime, the longer our name lives on. And for as long as our name lives on, we will never die. Hence why the name of Kwame Nkrumah lives on until today, because he has impacted the lives of millions of people. And so artists are keeping his name alive. educationalists, Pan-African educationalists are keeping his name alive. Conspiracy theorists are keeping his name alive. People who do research into the history of coups in Africa, for example, are keeping his name alive. Those who are interested and wondering why it is that Africa is in the predicament that it is in, can't help but come across the name of the late, great Kwame Nkrumah. And here we are today in a situation where, Ghana is still being run by the family members and descendants of those who toppled the late, great Kwame Nkrumah. And in toppling him, they toppled his vision, they toppled his administration, they toppled what would have been the beginning of a great, great Ghana. His vision was to recreate the Ghana Empire and at the same time, work in partnership with other African nations so that they would also rise at the same pace and at the same time. He had a vision for one Africa, one currency, one military. He was a student of the late great Marcus Mosiah Garvey, another man whose name lives on because of the works that he did. But Kwame Nkrumah, his works was sabotaged, he was overthrown, and here we are today with those who want to come and lecture Africa about democracy. We have the demons of today coming to lecture Africa about democracy. Really, really? And, the world is waking up to the hypocrisy of these people. And it's absolutely fantastic that the world is waking up to the wickedness of and the reality of who these people really are. I'm going to play you a clip now, and, it really rocks home, what some African leaders are now thinking and boldly saying when it comes to the United Snakes of America. Yes, as most of you probably know, this woman, Kamala Harris, Deputy President of the USA, visited Africa quite recently and wants to lecture, African leaders on democracy. Well, this is what Zambia's opposition leader, Fred Mbembe, had to say to Kamala Harris during her visit. I absolutely love it. Let's bring him in right now.
Toppled so many governments in Africa. That has led so many coups in Africa.
Let me rewind and come again from the top.
A country that has toppled so many governments in Africa, that has led so many coups in Africa and other parts of the world. A country that has killed so many of our leaders in Africa and other parts of the world. The killers of Patrice Lumumba, those who toppled Kwame Nkrumah, those who killed Nasser, those who killed Muammar Gaddafi, today are coming to teach us about democracy. A country that has been built on brutal force, on enslavement of other human beings, on the humiliation of Africans, the exploitation of Africans, the plunder of Africa, today is coming to teach us about democracy. If you have no respect for the dignity of others, if you have no respect for the sovereignty of other countries, you cannot claim to be a champion of democracy.
That is right. Those who have toppled so many governments, those who have been responsible for so many coups and so many assassinations, really want to come and lecture Africa about democracy? I want to rise up that Zambian Deputy African leader. He that speech was absolutely phenomenal, and agree with every word that he says. And it's wonderful, wonderful now that African countries are realizing we're really Agwan outside there and are having the confidence to stand up and say something. Let me bring another track in for you, family.
We have a beautiful history, and we shall create another in the future, in the future, in the future, in the future.
Yes, we will indeed. We have a beautiful history, and we will create another beautiful history in the future. So I want to rise up. All the Galaxy management team, each and every one of you in your respective places. Also want to rise up. All the Galaxy pilots, each and every one of you. I want to rise up, you, our important listeners, because without you, it wouldn't be worth us being here. So to those of you who are on the road to liberation, to those of you who are on the road to our Black empowerment, to those of you who recognize the importance for us as a people to be standing up and speaking up and out today, because if we don't, as was said by, who was it that said these powerful words? I know I heard it on the Big G Galaxy Afiwi, and the words that were said was this. It was either a caller or a presenter that said, if it's not spoken, it doesn't exist. And until it's spoken, that's when when it's spoken, it's when it's brought into existence. So until it's spoken, it doesn't exist. But once it's spoken, it's brought into existence. I'm going to search through my notes and find out who said that. I think it might have been said on the Sista Shanice show here on the Big G Last Strong, because we have some powerful contributions from the family. So we are the people. We are the official ones who are supposed to be the leaders, the movers and the shakers of this planet. We're the ones who are supposed to be looking after the environment. We're the ones who are supposed to be looking after the animal kingdom, the resources, the minerals and everything on this land. We are the ones who are not in our rightful places right now. And it's so important that we do take up our rightful positions. Our children are our future. And if we look at what's going on right now, I've just released a video, family, and you can find it on my YouTube channel, where I interview Leader Bandaka in a news bulletin report to talk about the police strip search report that was recently released. And that report highlighted that children as young as 8 years old have been strip searched. And this report highlighted, off of the back of the Child Q case, that the Child Q scenario and her being strip searched in the school and being so humiliated and degraded in the process wasn't an isolated incident. But almost 3,000 children across England and Wales between 2018 and 2022 had been strip searched. And more than half of those who had been strip searched came to no further action. And that our boys and our girls, mainly the boys, the report said was 6 times more likely to be strip searched. But when a data analyst for the Guardian newspaper analysed the data, he found that the statistics show that our children, black children, are actually 11 times more likely to be strip searched. 11 times more likely to be strip searched. Imagine sending your child to school, and on the way to school or at school or after school, the police are going to be, apprehending your young person for no, real reason. According to this report, because they've racially profiled them, because they're black, more likely because they're black. and then they decide to humiliate them. They decide that they want to see the body of a young black boy or a young black girl, and they want to strip them so that they can put their eyes all over them and sometimes even move their private parts, claiming to be looking for something that they damn well know is not there, because in the vast majority of these cases, it doesn't lead to any arrest whatsoever or any further action. And that's probably because our young person, have complied with their, racist, paedophilic, deprived kind of behavior. And I would imagine that in some of the instances that lead to arrest is where our young people have protested and objected to the strip search. And so these wicked people have decided that they're going to arrest them because, they haven't complied. And this, report about our children and the strip searching of our children comes off of the back of another report that was recently released by Louis Casey that accused the Metropolitan Police of harrowing failures, including, institutional racism. So yet another report, highlighting the fact that this institution is institutionally racist, and a report that actually proves racism is in existence. The report by the Children's Commissioner, Dame Rachel D'Souza, which is an example with statistics to prove that institutional racism is taking place, and that our children are 11 times more likely to be stopped and searched and then strip searched. Wow, wow, wow. And in 52% of these cases, there was no appropriate adult present. That means it was happening, and a significant number were actually carried out in public as well, in public places. So, it wasn't even done in the back of a police van, which is worrying enough anyway, but, in public places. So, around the back of some dustbins or somewhere like that, they would take our children and strip search them. It's absolutely disgusting the way our children are being treated. And as our brother Leader Bandaka said in that news bulletin report, if we as a community cannot protect our children, we are in serious, serious trouble, my family. So, we need to put our isms and schisms aside, because there is a greater works that need to be done out there. And, the reality is that in addition to the onslaught that we are getting from the racist institutions because they hate us because of our color, there is a bigger onslaught that's coming that's going to impact the entire nation or the entire Western world. And we're going to be caught up in that whirlwind. And we know what whirlwinds look like, or we ought to know what whirlwind looks like, because there's a town that I discovered was 97% black. Yeah, I did the research about that town that was flattened by that whirlwind or that hurricane, or no, the tornado. That's what it was. Yeah, that town that was flattened by the hurricane, and it was the children population in that town that went to the local school was 97% non-white. 97% non-white. And the population was something like 76% non-whites, about 70+% people you would describe as African Americans. And so it didn't surprise me when I was looking at the aftermath of that tornado, the extent of the devastation. You couldn't tell the difference between a house, a car, a truck, and a lorry, because it had all been mangled up. Those who survived, it's a miracle that they survived, but the vast majority, it appears, did not survive. And when each time I saw, the the news clips and the video clips of that particular incident. I'm looking for the emergency services. I can't see them. I'm looking for, the ambulances, the fire brigades, the army that's down there. What the sort of urgent, manic activity to try and find people who were lost. Now, it may be that I just didn't see those videos. It may be that I just didn't see those videos, but the ones in the videos that I was watching, I didn't see that level of activity. And to me, it was like another Katrina. We got to wake up and realize that we're on our own, family. And the sooner we realize that and we start organizing to be the emergency response that our community needs in every situation, the sooner we realize that, the sooner we will start to have the protection services and the protection in place that we need as a community and as a people. I'm going to play a track by Kofi called Lockdown. They just want to put us on lockdown. They just want to vaccinate us. They just want to create these 15-minute cities. They just want to do this. They just want to do that. Take a listen to this.
Just so you can keep staying at home. It's just one injection. It's just 2 injections. It's just a few bad reactions. It's just a few side effects. It's just a booster. It's just updated guidance. It's just until we get the new variant under control. It's just a little card. It's just another mandate. It's just another lockdown. It's just a face scan. It's just a curfew. It's just a safety measure. It's just a microchip. It's just so everyone can prove they've gotten it. It's just door-to-door enforcement. It's just separating those who chose not to get it. It's just removing them from society altogether. It's just a fact check. It's just to fight fake news. It's just silencing those conservatives. It's just deplatforming the president. It's just deplatforming his supporters. It's just silencing those who question the narrative. It's just giving up a few of your freedoms. It's just so you can have a bank account. It's just so you can have a job. It's just so you can enter the store. It's just so you can provide for your family. It's just so we don't take your kids away from you. It's just so we can contact trace. It's just so we can track your movements. It's just so you can exist. It's just so we can get back to normal. It's just so we can get back to normal. It's just so we can get back to normal. Just stop. The word just has become the most dangerous word in history because they just wanted to see what you would tolerate. But the word just can also end this nightmare. Because if you just open your eyes, if you just realize where this is going, if you just refuse to comply, if you just refuse to conform, if you just refuse to submit, if you just stand up for your rights, if you just organize and push back, if you just stop patronizing those who despise you, if you just demand to be free, if you just realize your own power, if you just realize we have strength in numbers, if you just realize that we are the majority, their power will just disappear.
I love the way he said that. And it's so right. The word just has become the most dangerous word in history. So they can just lock you down, so they can just vaccinate you. There's 1 shot, 2 shot, 3 shots, 4. And then people start drop on the floor. Then fire indeed. Fire for them. It's just a sad situation that so many of our people got caught up in that whole spin campaign and fell for, the entire misinformation. But for those who stood strong and saw through the lies, rise up, indeed, because it's a situation where many of those who succumb to the pressure are now suffering the consequences and whose health, is no longer what it was prior to them succumbing to take that jab. Oh, wow. What a tragic situation it is indeed. And so it's a case of, it's just the vaccine. It's just the lockdown. It's just so we can do this and it's just so we can do that. Well, it's just time that we as a people started standing up. Now we've got the pressure that they're trying to put on the African governments to accept the LGBTQ community. You know, we've got even Julius Malema now, you know, on a picket and standing against Uganda, Uganda's one of the few African countries that's standing up and defending African culture when it comes to, you know, this alien Euro-Western lifestyle that they're trying to impose on our people. And, you know, Julius Malema, I used to have respect for that man's speeches. Oh, yes, we were always suspicious of him, especially in the early days. I mean, we had a number of debates and discussions about, you know, who is financing his campaign. Can he really be standing for Africans and at the same time be getting money from, you know, the Illuminatis and the like, you know, and the elites? And here we have him coming out now supporting the LGBTQ agenda. Wow, wow, wow. Some of you may have seen that video. We're going to be talking a lot about that later today on the Sista Shanice Show, 8 p.m. with our beloved brother, Irritated Genie, Ayo Kamathi. And, you know, many are coming up and standing together and speaking out against that agenda. Let's take a listen to what Emerson Mnangagwa of Zimbabwe had to say. It looks a little low. Let me see, though. Let me hear how it comes out.
I'm talking about same sexual activity.
In our current constitution, it is banned.
Are you going to lead a campaign?
No, I will not lead a campaign.
Why not?
Those people who want...
Hear the pressure that's coming from the presenter about this agenda.
I'm talking about same sexual activity.
In our current constitution, it is banned.
Are you going to lead a campaign?
No, I will not lead a campaign.
Why not?
Those people who want that are the people who must canvass for such things, so that if they're able to win majority in amending the constitution, they would amend it. But it's not my duty on that issue to say I want to campaign for this. No.
Of course it is with respect, Mr. President, of course it's your duty. It's your duty to uphold human rights as recognized by the United Nations and as recognized by the countries.
It's my duty to obey my constitution.
Correct.
I would not be persuaded to violate my constitution. Currently, my constitution says what I have said.
I've got you on the line, my brother.
The constitution does not forbid people with different opinions. They must canvass with the opinions which they have.
So I'm asking for your opinion, both as a man and as president. Are you in favor of changing the constitution on that issue?
No, I am not. It's never a priority in Zimbabwe to deal with that issue.
Rising up, rise up, Emerson Mnangagwa in that particular clip there. Let's hope that he has managed to stay true to that position. Okay, we got our brother Mama on the line. Greetings, brother Mama. How you doing?
I'm well. Greetings, Sister Shanice.
I'm glad to hear your voice. It's going to be another action-packed show today now that I've got you on the line. Hopefully, you know, I've been warming up the seat for you here. So, have you been listening to the show so far?
Yeah, I've listened to some of it, but not all of it, but most of it, yeah.
Do you want to comment on any aspects of it that you have listened to?
Well, the one generally about, you know, Africanism, the issues that we face and what we need to do together. I think generally speaking, I'm in agreement with it. I just wanted to comment about the Zimbabwean president.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So sometimes they come out and make certain comments, but remember, he was responsible for the
overthrowing Robert Mugabe.
Exactly. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
True.
So a lot of the time, there's double speak.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we must realize. But at the same time, though, yes, some of these leaders they do double speak. Like for example, Museveni. it's for decades and decades. He worked with the Westerners, so he can secure his position. So he can become a dictator and be ruling in in Uganda for decades after decade. But recently, he's still doing some things that is changing his tune a bit. Maybe like 80 or whatever, but he's still doing some things that is there. So, main point is this: is for many of these leaders, don't take what they take for granted wholeheartedly. Yeah. Sometimes, though, some of them are making some small changes. Yes. And they are their way, but always look at the bigger picture.
What is your take on Julius Malema now that he's come out supporting the LGBTQ agenda?
Okay. So with Julius Malema, again, you have to look at the bigger picture. Where does he live? He lives in South Africa. Yeah? South Africa, there, same marriage is illegally it's legal in South Africa. Yeah, because the whites were the ones who ruled South Africa originally. So after the so-called apartheid, which we know never really ended. So anyway, to put it short, okay, the political power. When you see the leaders in South Africa, or you see black in the media or whatever, they're just for show. Just like you see, just like in America, you see like any of the Obama was there, it was just for show. Okay, the people who really control him were the white establishment. Yeah, in the United Kingdom, all right, Rishi Sunak will not come to power if the white establishment will not know that he will not play his ball. So for a start, for example, today they're more racist against immigration and immigrants and all the rest, even though he's an immigrant himself. Because that's the only way a poster boy or poster girl can come to power. There will be more of what they get for the policy than they were. So basically in South Africa, to cut the thing short, it's basically South Africa is a white control country with a black face. Yes? All the institutions and all the rest. So to put it in simplest things, basically, he lives in South Africa. So South Africa, legally, they got the same-sex marriage. Yes? Okay? So their policy is ultimately to win the things in South Africa, power in South Africa. Why he's talking about Pan-Africanism? Yes, he's a true Pan-Africanist. But he does not want to anger certain things in South Africa. So for him, per se, the same-sex thing and all the rest and so on, they would look at it from that.
It's a political vote winner.
It's political expediency, so to speak, yeah. Because they see the bigger, for them, they see the bigger picture.
That's the problem. You know, we are looking for leaders now who won't compromise, you know, the Pan-African principles for leadership, for money, for votes. You know, he's the one who stood up and said, you know, that he's not going to compromise for votes. But, you know, to those of us, the vast majority of us as a people, as Africans who don't agree with the LGBTQ community now, you know, he's a sellout. You know, he's lost a lot of credibility now amongst those of us who were, you know, hoping, you know, from hearing his speeches that he was actually going to be the change in South Africa that we were looking for. Is it a political ploy, you know, just to get in power? And then is he likely to make the changes that we would want to see once he gets in power? You know, it's politics and politricks. Let me allow you to come back. Come back, my brother.
Yeah. Well, look at it. To look at it is like, just that issue alone is not going to help him win anything. Because remember, the people in South Africa, per se, most of them they're not conscious anyway. You understand what I'm trying to say? They're not conscious of Africans and stuff like that. So for him, that he sees that one there as a sad issue, per se. That's my point trying to say. He has bigger picture. So I agree with certain issues is compromised, but I think the bigger picture that he has is this one as now. Because when something like this comes out, for example, in Uganda and all the rest and so on, yeah, about the, you know, and stuff like that, they will put out certain things and so on. But my point trying to say, some of the stuff, you just have to know that they will do certain stuff for a certain things or whatever. Yeah.
Okay, hold it there. I'm going to play a clip, my brother. You mentioned Uganda. Here is a clip from a USA State House official giving a final warning to Uganda to legalize homosexuality or no aid. I'm sure most of you have heard this one, but, you know, this is the sort of pressure. This is coming from the White House. You know, trying to dictate to another sovereign country. Some may question the extent to which, you know, it is a sovereign country. But anyway, supposedly a sovereign country, dictating to them, you know, what their policy and agenda should be on this LGBTQ thing. Okay, let me play the clip and then we'll go back to the phone line. Welcome, Nana Bonsu. I see you've joined us. Welcome. I'm just going to play this short clip and I'll come back to you. Please put your phone on mute. Please put your phone on mute. Okay, here's a clip.
The world. What I can tell you about steps the United States might take in response is that we are undertaking a review of our relationship with Uganda in light of this decision.
But Museveni remains unperturbed.
The outsiders cannot dictate to us. This is our country, this is our society, this is our future. It is not anybody's future. The outsiders will have to live with us, or if they don't want, they take their aid and we shall. Uganda is very rich, we don't need aid. In fact, aid is part of the problem.
Continue to urge.
Aid is part of the problem. Rise up, rise up. You know, the leader of Uganda there for standing firm. And so far, he's still standing firm. But will they topple him, you know, because of the LGBTQ agenda? What are the reasons why the Western governments are putting so much pressure on African leaders to adopt the LGBTQ agenda? What is it really all about? We've been joined by Nana Bonsu. Welcome, Nana Bonsu. Let's hear your take on this particular agenda. Nana Bonsu, are you there? Rise up.
Shanice, you can hear me?
Yeah, hearing you now. Yeah, there's a big echo in the background, though. I don't know if you can come closer to the mic. That'd be good. So welcome. And how are you this morning, my brother?
Very good, my sister. How are you?
I'm well. I'm alive. So from I wake up and I have breath, everything else is secondary.
We can give the name of the creating force of the universe. You need to tell me that which is greater than ourselves, for as many names under the Mare, Nkulu, Kulu, Mungu, Onyeme, Omadam for Mare, Ama Chembeja, Amanra, Ashe. You know, Sister Shanice, I was warned about Julius Malema about probably about 4 years ago. But even 5 years ago, to be quite honest, by contacts that I have in South Africa, who knows him, and notified me that he was being backed by a white organization anyway, financially. You understand? And I saw a speech with him probably around about 4 years ago, 4 years ago, just before the pandemic, where he publicly made a speech about the people there. So I heard that with my own eyes.
You're cutting in and out, my brother, and so we're losing some of, although we've got the essence, we're losing some of the words that you're saying. I'm not sure if it's the line or if you're moving about while you're speaking, but if you can make an adjustment, that would be great.
Is that
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So I was warned about him 4 years ago by contacts that I have in Azania, and told me that he's not the real deal. He's actually being backed financially by a European backers. That's where his money's come from. And then I saw a video of him backing this old LGBT, ABC, LMNOQ. See? I saw that video myself. He was giving a speech somewhere where I think white people was, or whatever the case may be. You know, European people are about, I think, 2% of the population of Azania. So you're saying that to get votes, I think, it don't make sense, because if it's votes, we outnumber them anyway, so that don't matter. You understand me? I say, I think it's something more than that. You understand me? I say, and so, we know these people, them who, it's dangerous to go against white people. Let's face it. It's just very dangerous. And if they see you're going to get into a position of power in a major country, they will assassinate you one way or another. They will make it look like we know this, my sister. We warned Maga fully on your show.
Yeah,
that's why we got one of the biggest hits one time, if you remember. And that particular episode went viral. And I said to my man, beware, because your enemies are close. They will take you out. And within months, he was gone. You understand me? I say we must always remind our people about their weapons of destruction. Remember, in the 70s, they had a gun that they could fire a dart. The dart goes inside of you, it dissolves, and it makes it look like you have a heart attack and there was no trace. That was in the 70s. We're 2023. That technology must be so advanced now. They could do just food. You understand? Everything that's going to be tested is by their own machines anyway. So they can hide it. You understand what I'm saying to you? So, going up against them is a very dangerous job.
So do you...
beans about it.
Yeah. I mean, I asked the question, about them putting the pressure on these African governments to accept the LGBTQ agenda, and why so many of them are buckling under that pressure. And you think one of the main reasons is that they fear assassination, because although these people are a minority in terms of the power that they have and the ability to get to them, to assassinate or to overthrow them is such. And clearly these people are thinking they want to live, they don't want to die sooner rather than later, and they want to remain in power, so they will play the game. And Julius Malema is playing a game. I mean, I actually did a show, I think a couple of shows a few years back, where we looked at Julius Malema because our brother Kwame Ossi brought evidence and information about who was financing his campaigns. And in the trail, the money trail led right back here to the UK. Some big money Jew here in the UK. I haven't got the details in front of me. But yes, we did, our brother did do the research, and we spent several shows actually discussing, that, and to what extent does financing your campaign mean that they control and influence you as the opposition? Because what we do know is that these people finance the leaders and the oppositions and the mercenary groups. They're just in it for the money and to win it. And they put themselves in a win-win situation. If party A wins, they win. If party B wins, they win. So we over how they operate. And, he had to come out publicly and actually deny being in the pockets of these people. Yes, they contributed towards the campaign, but it was the campaign he was claiming. But as we can see, from this agenda, which, I think they should have a referendum on it, to be honest, in some of these countries before, these governments make any decisions. Have a referendum.
No, they won't have a referendum.
To the people.
They won't have a referendum. And the reason why they won't have sorry, brother, the reason why they won't have a referendum is because they know the majority of people will vote against it.
That's it. And that will give the leader the power and the justification that they need.
It's got nothing to do with the people, sis. It's got to do with their little secret societies. These people are a corruptive people. They're corruptive. You understand? And it's one of the way to destabilize and depopulate the continent. It's another way with all the other diseases that they pump into the continent. Is another way of depopulating the continent.
Let's look further down that road, my brother, because I asked the question: why is it that they are so determined to force this agenda onto Africa? So let's look down the road. Yeah, let's have a little bit of a discussion around that. Brother Marma, I can hear you wanting to come in, so we're going to come back to Brother Nana in just a moment, if you don't mind. Yeah, but so what is their plan? We know that they always have a bigger plan, and they plan 30 years, 50 years in advance. What's the plan around this agenda? They're determined to try and get all Africa to embrace this agenda. They're influencing the minds of our children through their miseducation and their dirty, sex programming. What's the bigger picture around this? Brother Momo, what do you think the bigger picture is around this?
I know the bigger picture, and you know the bigger picture. So I think sometimes we should not, we should just give the information to our people as it is. Otherwise, we stop them having critical thinking. So the Western agenda, yes, has always been to keep Africa under control so they can control the resources. If they can get rid of the people and keep the resources, fine. If they cannot get rid of the people, and this causes confusion, etc., so that they can have resources for themselves. So the agenda it's all about the wider population control. Ultimately, they want African population to reduce or to buckle so that they can control the resources. So that's part of the population agenda, all right? So as for I want to just deal with two issues, basically. The African leaders, and then secondly, Julius Malema, yes? In terms of the African leaders, the Westerners have always putting pressures on them so that they can do stuff that they want for their own purposes, whether to give them a business deal, allow them to take resources, or just to make a big point that they have power over them, okay? So like I said, Museveni in Uganda, for example, it's been there for decades. Even today, it's one of the biggest puppets for the United States. So the United States, for example, they have what they call strong leaders in Africa that they use to do the sources. So, for example, Kagame became strong. Why? With the U.S. support. Okay? The same with Museveni. Okay? Other ones they used to use was the former Ethiopian leader and all the rest. So my point is that Museveni today, he's saying certain things consistent. Yes, it's true that he has his own stances about certain things. But don't take that he's not a U.S. ally. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Mm-hmm.
So my point is that ultimately we're playing the same game. It's just manipulation. It's just like, honestly, the easiest way to really understand, if you're in a workplace and you have power, yes, and you see that you can use the people and make the people do stuff, and then you can get away with it, and no one challenges, you will do it. Okay? Even among your friends, if you can use people and so on, and then you will do it. So my point is that ultimately the only solution for African people is to unite, and secondly, they must have their own agenda. So, for example, in terms of like human relationship, yes, we must say from our position, yes, for African culture background, our values and cultural background, our ancestor state, man, woman, that's the thing, children, etc., and then build the culture and so on. So you must have your own values that you go out there and you promote. So that's ultimately, you just defend your own interests.
Okay, thank you for that. And I hear some of the leaders trying to do that, trying to defend the African values.
Yes. Can I just finish on Julius Malema?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Julius Malema, when the pandemic was on, okay, what did he say? It was on about the vaccine, isn't it? Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
It was on about the vaccine, that people should take the vaccine. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Did he not say that?
I can't remember, but if you recall that, I'm sure you're right on that, my brother.
He did. Mm-hmm. Because in South Africa, the national government police and all the rest and so on was for people to take the vaccine. And he was even when I got and he said that it's okay, people should have the vaccine so you can be safe or whatever. So my point I'm trying to say is this. So the caller said that whites in South Africa are only about 2%. It's not about 2%. It's about 13% or something like that. But in any case, he's not looking for votes from whites because they make negligible things. In any case, even with the blacks alone, okay, the vast majority do not support
the LGBTQ agenda.
Exactly. So he's not coming to any power soon. So it's really simply to put it honestly. I don't think Jesus Malema ultimately has been backed by anybody and so on. Personally, and his own view of it, because he's been in South Africa. In the South Africa, like I said, okay, same-sex marriage is legal, okay? Yes? So it's not just like white who are there. There's also many black people in South Africa because they've been brought up with that. You understand? It's that. So for him,
He's just taking this issue like the one over in the rest of Africa and so on. Some of the people are taking it too far, whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not because another part of African, Pan-Africanism or whatever. Well, certain people, they are like that. That's my point I'm trying to say.
Thank you very much for that. So, South Africa is used as the gateway, for all of Africa in terms of pushing their agenda. And, they've been corrupting the minds of the people in South Africa in a way that maybe most of us will never understand. And they continue to corrupt and manipulate the minds of the people in South Africa. And we can see that with the homophobic agenda as well. Not the homophobic, the what's the one there where they hate their own people? Afrophobic agenda. So, okay, thank you very much for your point of view there, my brother. It's the Western agenda to reduce the African population and to maintain control of the resources, and the LGBT agenda is all tied up into that. Is there anything more to the LGBTQ agenda? I'm going to go back to our brother as soon as I've taken this new caller, 446, which I think is Dr. Abu. Rise up, family. 446. Who do we have on the line?
Budum, Empress.
Budum. How are you doing?
Budum to the family,
Thank you.
Empress, what? Look and see what nature is telling us.
Mm-hmm.
Nature is saying to us, we African have the best birth rate in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And all we got to do is organize ourselves and prepare and plan for the generation to come.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
But to we following the Western, the Western agenda, or the European said, I think, therefore I am.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? And this is what some of us is running on and on. Not I am, because we are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
As the brother said, without the collective, we're doomed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Mm-hmm.
We have to move towards our naturalness. See, we have to move towards restoration, sis, because all the things them giving us is just to fix us, to kill ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Budum.
Vudum, Dr. Abu, rise up, rise up. So again, it's an attack on the African population and part of their depopulation agenda. Mm-hmm. Let's bring back Nana Bonsu. Nana Bonsu, the LGBT agenda. Why do you think they're pushing this on us to the extent that they are? What is their long-term plan and agenda around this?
Right, as I said earlier, it's about taming the African population, depopulating Mother Africa. It's another weapon of their mass destruction. And so they come with AIDS.
Mm-hmm.
Now, before AIDS, they came with a different strain of malaria.
Mm-hmm.
Then them come with AIDS. Then them come with herpes.
Mm-hmm.
Then them come with Ebola. When all of those things didn't work, them come with this new form of COVID, but it couldn't penetrate Africa for whatever the scientific reasons were. It didn't catch a foothold in Africa, but the psychological damage did, and the terms of controlling people did. You understand? And it's just another way of them trying to depopulate Africa. Yes, for the resources, but also what people don't realize, which I think is a more important, sinister move, is to make sure that Africans never rise to power again. It's about destroying the cultural practices, the spiritual practices, the economical practices, the family practices of African people. And so if you have these foreign doctrines, because this is not just their religious practice that are foreign doctrines, their behavior, their culture is foreign doctrines. If you have these foreign doctrines, you destabilize the plate of foundation of African cultural and spiritual beliefs. You understand? And by doing that, you keep them in a state of subdue. servants, and to look at the people who are less than them as greater than them. I'm going to add another twist to it. And it might be controversial, I've said it before, but I am of the firm belief that we have aliens amongst us. I strongly believe this. Yeah, and there's certain evidence to prove it, who are moving around the planet, and them have for them little argument, but they're using the different groups on the planet. And I think this is about creating a different race or species. You understand? Because they're into incubating and crossbreeding. They've done it with the animals. You understand what I say? This is how they start with the animals, and then they come to the original people of the planet. You understand? The highly melanated people of the planet. And that's one of my theories. I don't know if anybody else got anything they'd like to add to that.
Wow, yeah, powerful position that is. And in addition to the aliens among us, and, you know, from their non-human, from you're not 100% human, to me you're an alien. And we know that there are those among us already with Neanderthal DNA. So that's it's alien to the planet, even though it's part of the planet, I know some would argue. But there are also clones among us. So some of these leaders possibly, and some of these people who we see may not be who we think they are, but actors with masks or clones who are, you know, impersonating certain people. So, yeah, the world that we're living in today with the technology and technology that exists today can give us the perception that something is when that it is not. And you know what, my brother, as you was talking about the foreign doctrine and the extent to which, you know, the embracing of this LGBTQ agenda, you know, moves us further away from who we are as a people. Once we embrace that, along with, you know, everything else in terms of their Western culture and ideology and everything, it goes back to that famous speech by Lord Mikulski, or whoever it was, that says, you know, if we get them to embrace our culture and to demonize their own, then basically the job's done. Psychologically, they have, you know, captured the mind of the African and destroyed the essence of who we are. And you're right, it's part of, I felt that, it resonated with me as you were saying it.
And another thing,
destroys, it goes to the fabric, it goes to the threading of who we are as a people, man, woman and child, you know, being at one with nature, as Dr. Abu always says, you know, it goes to the fabric of who we are. And if they can destroy that, you know, which is also linked to our original spiritual essence, man, woman and child, if they destroy that, it's another job done. Wow. Okay, let me allow you to come back on that, and then we'll go over to Nana.
Let's just add some science to it. All of the people on this platform know about this research that's been done, and I think Dr. Abu touched on it when he said, "Look at what nature is telling us." We know that the strains of DNA, all the other groups, the apes, and that they have what they call 4 to 5 strains of DNA. All the other groups, the Asians, the Eurasians, I call them. They have 6 strains of DNA, but the African has 9. So what does that tell you? You understand? So even scientifically, you know, there's evidence to back up our theory. Do you understand? And so even by the science, I just wanted to add that piece. Go
Thank you so much. Okay, we've been joined by 2 new callers. We've got Brother Nene Kuti on the line, who joined us first. So we'll go over to him, and then we'll go over to Brother Sean, who's joined us. Welcome, Brother Nene Kuti. How are you doing today?
Yes, Ma'at Otep. I'm great.
Ma'at Otep. Glad to hear you're great, my brother. Thanks for calling in. What's your contribution to the discussion?
Yes, my contribution to the question you asked here about why are they having this agenda on Africa here. Just my little take on this. You know, it's not for us. You know, this whole thing is a social engineering. It's for the next generation. 50 years from now, the children that we have today, they will grow up to accept all this. So the more relevant we keep this on the news and on our platforms, it generates some sort of dialogue, which keeps on going, which is what they want, you know. So they are planning for the next future, not for us. So because us, we know that we don't accept this, but it's the generation that's coming after us. I mean, look at our food, look at our medicine, look at what's on the TV, you know. So if Africans are serious about this, they have to ban things like Netflix, every TikTok, everything, even the medicine they take from the West, even the food they take from the West, all these have gay chemicals in it that will turn your children into gay. So if we are really serious about gay, it's not just the fact that yes, it's in our culture, we don't want it to. It's because, you know, you have to be serious and look at things 360. Because everything that we intake, even the things that we watch on radio, the music, everything is geared up to turn our children into gay. So, you know, them put it into their constitution. For now, it's good. For 50 years now, most of these children will become president of Africa, and they will see us normal. So they don't, you know, so that's what they're doing. They are doing it so it becomes so relevant as a conversation that we have all the time, you know. So it programs the mind of the children. I mean, just to add something to it, you know, where I live in Finsbury Park in London, there's a park there, If you go past that at 1 o'clock in the morning, oh, my sister, it's very embarrassing. Young black men and white boys, you know, they are selling their backside for a lot of money. It's serious, though. It's serious. People are not talking about this. They're not talking about this. You have business white men, pedophiles in this park and doing all this nonsense. And it goes around on many parks around London. But we are oblivious to all of this. So our youth, what we must do as parents is ask them what they think on like consciously what they think about all this, because you'll be surprised. Most of them think it's okay for people to be gay. You know, most of our children, they think that because they've already been conditioned. And so this action is for 50 years time. When we are all gone and left, you know, they will come and see us normal. And anyway, to touch on this alien issue, my brother Kweku, you, in a way, scientifically, you contradict yourself, because you said that the African has the 9 ether, melanin, and the 9 ether is the highest number in the universe. So if anything comes from the universe, it's not going to be white, it's going to be darkness, So this alien talk is a white man way of programming you. There are no aliens on here. If there's any aliens, it's us, you know, because we came from the stars. Nothing can come from the stars that is European. It will never be. Europeans are from here. They haven't got no link to the universe. Once they step out of the universe, they'll get fried out by radiation. They can't go there. So there's no being from outside that will come here and make deal with the Europeans. It doesn't make sense, my brother. Because then who are we then? Where are our people from the stars then? How come they're not coming to help us? You know? No, they are using tricks. When the Romans and the Greeks came, were they aliens? No, they were not aliens. They just came from Europe. You know? So, you know, in the Greek time, there was no aliens. In the Roman time, there was no aliens. But they still managed to control us. They're just using their mind on us, my brother. Aliens are Africans. We are the aliens, not them. You know?
Let me ask you a question, then. Let me ask you a question, beloved. Let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
Let me ask you a question. If we come from the stars, which I don't disagree with you. Yeah. Are you saying then when we come to the stars and we book with the white people, then yes, so?
Well, they were already here. But in the form of AIDS.
So we don't belong here then. We don't belong here then.
No. What you are saying now? Well, our spirit don't belong here. But our soul belongs.
I'm not talking about the spirit. I'm not talking about the spirit, beloved.
But
I'm speaking about. Hold on. There was a research done about the makeup of the planet, the actual physical makeup of the planet: iron, copper, zinc, you know, and all of the melanin. And they found that in the African, the planet has the exact makeup as the African body.
Let me just quickly interject here and add to that, my brother.
Can I just finish that? Sis?
Yeah, I will. I want you to carry this with you as well that I'm going to drop. Because I know our brother said that we're from the stars. I think we're from the earth. And what you said there to me just proves that we're more likely to be from the earth than the stars. Let me allow you to continue. Our makeup tells us where we're from. But yeah, continue, Nana Bonsu. Can everyone put their phone on mute, please? Can everyone put their phone on mute? Can everyone kindly put their phone on mute, apart from Nana Bonsu? Sean, everybody put your phone on mute.
I'm not a trained... Sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm not a trained biologist or chemist or geologist, but I read people who are trained in that field.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I read, one of the research that I did many years ago, and this was in the 90s, was about our physical makeup as Africans in terms of what the planet is. You understand? And this is why we rap with the sun and all that type of stuff. And it said that in the African, they had the same kind of percentages when they work out, Pyral, they qualify for me to deal with that part of that mathematical term of it. But it showed that it was only in the African that you found the similar makeup as the planet in the African.
I want to agree with you on that.
In the soil, the amount of iron and zinc and copper that we have in our body. So I'm not saying, that we don't come from stars. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how did the European evolve then. You understand what I'm saying? I did the Caucasian, the Caucasoid, and the Mongoloid.
Yeah, my brother, I can tell you the answer.
Yeah, hold on there, please, bruv. Yeah, hold your answer, hold your response. Nana Bonsu has put that question out there. How did the Europeans evolve? We know that's a whole show in itself, but hold on that. Let's go back to the original question.
And the Africoid.
Yeah, let's go back to the original question because I'm going to bring in Sean, who called in to.
I'll go on hold. Yeah, no problem.
Okay, thank you. Nana Kuti, put yourself on mute, please. Brother Nana Kuti, if you could put yourself on mute. Okay, Sean, who's got another radio channel on in the background? I'm hearing it. Okay, welcome, Brother Sean. How you doing?
I am blessed, Sister Shanice. Oh my gosh, another banger. You just keep releasing bangers. If you had a gun, there'd be, oh gosh, I don't want to say that, but anyway. Yeah, big up. This is Prophet Kwaku again. Lots of gems have been brought up.
Nana Bonsu.
Oh my days. Yes. I just want to touch on the alien thing, because I think that's so interesting, and I'm fascinated by how we love history, but we ignore a lot of things. And the alien thing is ignored a lot. And it's interesting that the brother brought up and said that aliens don't exist. I appreciate what he says. But what I don't ignore, one thing that I keep seeing, when it comes to history, different cultures, and the Dogons, they talk about it as well. They keep talking about being visited from people from the sky. And the people from the sky are not normal people. The Dogons talk about it you know what I mean? And there's other cultures, who have had no contact. Let me stress this. Other cultures that have had no contact with each other that have a similar story. And there's other similar stories about the flood again. The flood story, that similar what's it called? It's shared by cultures that haven't had any contact with each other. And it's interesting that we ignore this. It's also interesting that there's a lot of things like, there's a lot of things on Earth that we can't explain. There's a lot of things in cultures, the Aztec culture, all things like, what's it called again? The Anunnaki, I can't pronounce it.
Anunnaki.
We can't explain. And it's interesting that a lot of black Pan-Africanists ignore it. They completely ignore it. Either they just disregard it or they don't know nothing about it. And I find it fascinating that we've got the answers, but our answers doesn't explain certain things was happening over Dessa. You know what I mean? But we've got the answers. This is the deal, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Blah, blah, blah. Just, we just ignore the fact what the Dogon said. They've got information that they cannot... Sorry, let me rephrase it. How I interpret it. Let me rephrase, because this is my interpretation. The Dogon's got information, And how I interpret that, the information they've got is, there is it's literally impossible for them to have this information without technology. The information they've got, and the information has been passed down to them. And because we can't work it out, we just ignore it because we just can't work it out. We just think, okay, cool, they've got that information. F knows how they got that information, but the information is valid. You know what I mean? They say they've got it from the people from the sky. You know what I mean? And the people from the sky, which they're talking about, a whole heap of other people talk about as well. You know what I mean? Who have never had no contact with people, and they can do things or come into things that is unexplainable. But yet we've got the answers. You know what I mean? I'm not disrespecting or disregarding other people what they're saying, but for me personally, I cannot and I refuse to ignore certain things. I land there, sir.
Rise up, Brother Sean. Thank you for that. Go on, and I'll let you come in before me.
Let me just throw something in there quickly. I apologize for interrupting. I went to Kemet 9 times.
You're going to mention what I was going to mention. Go ahead, but you've seen it with your own eyes. Go ahead. 9
times. I took people down there a couple of times. Yeah, I took a group of people down there, my own trip and everything. And I went to a temple once called the Temple of Filali. It's a temple on a little island down in Aswan. And on that temple, carved in stone, thousands of years ago, they are the instruments what they now use in operating theaters today. Not only that, there's instruments of, there's carvings of flying objects, like flying saucer, aeroplane, and helicopter.
No, I don't know.
If there's a thing called time travel, because that's quantum science and all something. But I've seen this with my own eyes. And why would the Europeans or anybody go down there carving these things in stones to give the Africans that credence? I don't understand it. This is something I saw with my own eyes. It's not a makeup thing. They also, incidentally, people purchase Nile Valley Contribution to Civilization, Dr. Anthony Browder. Brilliant book, very easy to read. Yeah. There is a chapter in there where he speaks about this model of an aeroplane that they stole from Kemet many decades ago. It was in the British Teeth Museum. And one day one of those astronauts, not astronauts, what they call the people who do with aeroplane and all them thing there.
The aerodynamics people.
Yeah, that's right. They saw this model. They must have gone down in the archives and see this model. And when they put it into the test chamber, it's exactly like a model they would make. It works perfectly for an aeroplane. So, you know, I'm not basing my assumptions on just what I feel. I'm basing it up on, because I used to be heavy into science fiction when I was a child. I used to read a lot of science fiction books. I was heavy into Star Trek and stuff like that. So maybe that part of me, it draws me to it. But I'm not making my assumption on belief. I'm making it upon evidence that I've seen. I'll land there for now.
Thank you so much, Nana Bonsu. Yeah, really interesting conversation we're having here, and just want to contribute to the discussion in terms of who we really are as a people. Do we really know who we are? And, the agenda of those who live among us who don't look like us, obviously don't like us and are constantly deceiving us, probably know more about us than we know about ourselves. And what their agenda clearly is to keep us, away from the knowledge of who we are, because they know, in my opinion, our greatness. Now, not only have we got the LGBTQ agenda, which is occupying a lot of our thought space and our discussion and our arguments, etc., and this whole agenda, and when they come with their agendas, as has been pointed out, it comes through the media, the schools, the education system, the Netflix, the movies, everything, yeah? And so we're so overwhelmed by all of their agendas, Nana Bonsu mentioned the Malema malaria epidemics, the typhoid, the HIV, AIDS, and Ebola, and COVID. Now they're coming with the Marburg, so they're constantly flooding our mind space with their agenda, the wars and everything. And I believe that back in the days, before we took on this Western culture, which came largely with our enslavement, prior to our enslavement, we as a people, we had time to think. We had time to philosophize. We had time to study the stars. We had time to study nature. We had a great amount of knowledge, which I feel has been lost to us. I believe that we are more ancient than we can even begin to imagine. We are possibly not just millions of years old, but possibly billions of years old. And over those millenniums and those billions of years, I believe that, we studied so much so that we did acquire the knowledge of how to even teleport ourselves. I mean, what I know from some of the reading that I've done is that what goes around the world, and I believe some of our scientists who don't go to school here actually tap into this higher level of science where they can draw on energy from the atmosphere. Probably not using the right terminology, but there is a force field, an energy force field that goes around the world. And I believe that in time gone by as ancients, that's where we got our electricity from. That's where we got our energy sources from. And there are hot spots around this planet. And if you're in those hot spots, you can actually, there's a lot of energy in those hot spots. And it's believed that, we knew how to teleport ourselves, in those hot spots, possibly to other planets. I know it sounds crazy to people some people who might be listening, but when you go into these energy fields, if you do the meteorology kind of measurements, you will get an amount of power that no amount of modern day electricity can generate today. And our ancestors knew those hot spots. And in most of those hot spots now, where these people have gathered that knowledge and information, we're not allowed in those places and those spaces.
That's why,
and we used to mark it out by following the stars. Somebody's trying to jump in there, and go ahead. Who's trying to jump in to add to what I'm saying here?
I was saying, Sister Shanice, that's why they continue the war in the Congo.
Aye.
You understand? Because you're talking about the vortex.
Oh, I like that name for it. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Where people can move through. We have those. That's why when I talk about restoration in us, that's the only way. That's the only way, because most of the organization, they're not running on a African fuel. They're mostly running on Marxism and all of these kind of ism and schism. And this is, remember, sis, their institution, their church, the temple and mosque is a generator.
Yes.
To generate their things upon a certain frequency. So our frequency is constantly jammed. Not only by the European, but we are perpetrating, we jamming our own signals, at the truth I'm telling you, Look, go back to the ATN. Go back to the ATN revolution and see what they say. You got to get rid of those things. We can't call ourselves a Pan-Africanist and I call ourselves a Catholic, a Methodist, and all of these things. Sister Shanice, when we get persecuted on the street of London, we never get persecuted because we are where they call it, a Hebrew or a Muslim or a Christian. We get persecuted because we are an African.
That's right.
So we are dead. We are dead with the wrong identity. I tell you. We have to restore ourselves. Simple as that.
Vudum, for real, Dr. Abu. We are jamming our own frequency. And you just touched on and helped me to explain what I was going to go on to next, Dr. Abu, to talk about where these energy points are. Our ancestors, as we know, were the ones who would go around following the stars, and they would build these tall cathedrals and their palaces in alignment with the 33-degree meridian line or something like that goes around the planet. These power voltages. That's why I would say, if we knew how to exercise the powers, miracles can happen in some of these mosques and some of these churches, because there's another level of energy and another level of power, that has already been strategically where that building, if these are the old cathedrals, where those buildings have been strategically positioned. But we have lost the knowledge of how to access that another level of power. And the LGBTQ agenda is yet another agenda to dumb us down, like the education system dumbs us down and takes us away from who we really are. Like their slavery system, their modern day slavery system, where walk us until we're in the grave, so we don't have no time, to find out who we really are. If we begin to look at some of our scientists who have discovered great things like, making water out of thin air, making apparatus, run without electricity and without fuel, but using, energy from the cosmos. These are people who didn't go to school and didn't get the opportunity to have their brain dumbed down. And yes, there are vortexes, we've got the, what's that place in the ocean where planes would disappear? Bermuda Triangle. Yeah, there are vortexes, and maybe our ancestors knew where those vortexes were and still are, and we have been dumbed down to fear these vortexes rather than to explore them. There's a so-called black hole in the universe that, most of us wouldn't even think to explore, but our ancestors probably did, because, they had designed helicopters and flying saucers, and they had images even of space people, of aliens, and slanted-eye people, big slant-eye people that used to come and visit the planet. So I say all that to say that there is a lot more about us that we don't know, including the whole, the ones that they call the Anunnakis, who were just Asian Africans, but because of the greatness of the Anunnakis, they don't want us to know that they're talking about us, I think, but they were us, who were the, contributed towards the great Asian stone buildings and generators of electricity and power, back in the day. So yeah, we are jamming our own frequency, and they are jamming our frequency. They're jamming our frequency with their religion. They're jamming our frequency with their miseducation and fooling system. They are jamming our frequency, so we don't know, the true greatness of who we are. And who are we? We are, I believe, the people of the earth, and I think the way that Nana Bonsu outlined the reading that he did, I've read something similar where it talks about our makeup, our melanin and all of the minerals in our body. That's why we've got to eat mineral-rich foods, because we are made up of the minerals of this planet, of the earth, of the soil, the gold, the magnesium, and all the different minerals, the vitamins and everything. It all can be found in the earth, and it all equally can be found in our body. We are the original people of this earth. Yes, we studied the stars because maybe there are others who came from the stars. Let's continue this for just another 10 minutes, and then we must go over to Brother Mama. So let me bring back you, then Brother Nana Bonsu, then Brother Nene Kuti, then Dr. Abu, and then we're going to go over to Brother Mama for some concluding remarks on this, and then we're going to go on to the main show for today. Yes, Nana Bonsu. Nana Bonsu.
I want to go back to something that Brother Sean said about
the aliens and the Dogons.
You can hear me?
Yeah, just about.
Yeah. He said that.
Your sound is. Go ahead. Yeah.
We mustn't
dismiss.
Yeah, we're hearing you good now.
We mustn't dismiss the science. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He said we mustn't dismiss the science, and he's so correct because there's a lot that we don't know. You understand? Even combined with all the knowledge of all the people, and everybody on this platform is knowledgeable, as a high level of knowledge. but it's minute. Because within the Dogon culture and their science, there are four different stages. But in each of those 4 stages, there's another 4. I think it's 4 or 5. I read it a long time ago. However, they say at the time when I read it, this was in the 90s, they said present day science in the 90s was only at this, I think, was the second stage of the first stage. 4 4s are 16, innit?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if my math's right, 4 4s is 16. Am I correct?
You're correct. Mm-hmm.
So that means we're only at the second stage in the first stage. Now, when they invaded Kemet over the millenniums and destroyed it, the priests ran away, some of them to the south, some went to the west, or some went back into the interior. You understand? Mm-hmm. But some stayed and had to adapt. But we had a discussion some time ago where we're speaking about the Meta Nature, the hieroglyphs that is not being deciphered. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
The main Meta Nature has never been deciphered. And they were at such a level of science that they could not teach these barbarians that science.
That's right.
They could see what they would do with that science, had it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a question I've been asking myself. It's a theory. I was saying, if the Africans was at that level of science, how did we allow Neanderthals to come and subdue us? I've been always asking myself that question.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? But when you look at the level of their science and what they were doing in comparison to what the science, what the primitives had, what little science they gave them, they used that for destruction, where we were using it for elevation. I mean, the pyramids alone at Giza, the inner casing of one of those stones is about 40 tons. Mm-hmm. It comes 600 miles upriver.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You understand? They don't know how they transport it there. That's a level of levitation and all them type of things.
That's right.
They don't know and we don't know because we're learning from them. You understand? So you have to push your mind past the barriers of present-day science. Sangolande, Maxo Chikumbuso couldn't paint an invention because they said it defied the present laws of physics. And you just touched on it, taking energy from out of the atmosphere. All in that system makes somebody else come in.
Rise up, rise up. Just to add to that by saying, fortunately, all is not lost because we do still have that knowledge in our DNA, but we are so distracted as a people and we are so conditioned by these people. It takes away our ability to think for ourselves. But I sent Pyratio something that I came across just yesterday. It's 2 young girl mathematicians who have come up with another way of calculating basically the formula, the Pythagoras formula, was always thought by these people to be the only formula for calculating, say, A plus B equals C. Well, these 2 young girls have patented a new formula for that mathematical calculation. That is a high level of mathematics and linked to science that, probably most of our minds can't even begin to fathom. But so how did these 2 young girls manage to do that? That knowledge is in their DNA. There's so much locked up in our DNA, but, the whole of the Western society's culture and agenda is to dominate us and to take us away from who we really are. Take us away from the opportunity of finding out who we really are. Let's bring back Brother Nenakuti, and then we really must, Brother Shaw's come back, but you will only get 1 minute, Brother Shaw, so get your 1 minute input ready. Yeah, because I want us to go over to the next stage of the show. Brother Nenakuti, a lot's been said since you spoke. Welcome back, my brother.
Yes, my sister. Yes, just to briefly talk about this alien talk. It's all psychological engineering, social engineering that's been implemented in us for many years. to talk about aliens, then we'll go into the narrative that aliens came and built the pyramid. No, they didn't. It was our ancestors, human beings that did it. But, it's the fact that ancient Africans, we were scientists. The average African in ancient time was a scientist by normal. Yeah, their normal default is scientists. We were scientists. So we did everything with nature, with herbs, everything. You talk about vortex and everything. The vortex are everywhere. Even where you are right now, there's a vortex there. Yeah, but there's certain signs that you need to acquire. Yeah, that you can use certain frequency of herbs. Yeah, leaves that you can put on your lips and you can teleport instantly. This thing was lost. With them coming in and destroying us, we lost all those abilities. To even give you an example, you see the pyramids there. Yeah, they are energy centers. They were covered in white limestone. Yeah, white limestone.
So I missed what you said there. What were energy fields?
The pyramids, the Giza pyramids.
Oh, the pyramids. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were covered in white stone, like white stones, limestone. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Then when in the nighttime, when the moon shines, yeah, it generates, it absorbs all the energy from the moon. So if you're an African woman and next to that thing, you'll be so rejuvenated, so empowered, and it illuminates so far beyond the continent of Africa. When in the nighttime, you don't even need light, like street light, because there was so much light, yeah, in the nighttime. The Europeans and Arabs destroyed the whole casing, So there are secrets there, but it's because we are not in tune into nature, we will never know. Yeah, so me, I don't subscribe to all this alien talk. The alien talk brings into the fact that aliens came here and built the pyramids. No, it was our ancestors. It's because we lost our way. It's simple science, my sister. It's there. Like Brother Kofi was saying, all these elements like potassium, magnesium. Yes, we can't see with our own eyes, so those things we can't see, but they're inside of us. Those are what we call spirits. Yeah, all the elements in our body are called spirits. Even the air we breathe is a spirit. Yeah, those are what spirits are. And we are spirits. So you know what I mean. So we just came here to manifest. We are part of the earth, but there were beings here before we came, and those beings are those Caucasians, those Indians, those Chinese that you see. Those were the beings that were here. We just made them to come to look like us, like human beings. That's why their DNA is closer to an ape than we are, because they've got 6 DNA and we have 9 DNA strands. So it's only the 6 and the 9. After the 6 and 9, you have the 5, you have the 4, you have the 3, and those are all the 8 family. Yeah, we are all part of the 8 family because we came from the earth. Yeah, but we are the ones that brought the look. See the look that you look today when you look in the mirror? That human look. It was our ancestors that brought that look and gave it to everybody, but in their own setting. So this is a sign that probably we are not ready to receive this truth yet. Yeah, so that's why people are sound crazy to most people, because we don't understand it. I'm a realist. I keep it real. I don't talk about what's in the stars, because we have to know what's on earth before we even understand what's in the stars. So we are natural scientists that we did everything like natural. I mean, on our body, there's points on our body that we can even press, massage on our body that will make our eyes see further, or even see things that our naked eye can't see. Yeah, there's something you can do to yourself. You can even massage your feet. Yeah, that will make your heart beat in such a way that will transport so many blood to the right places. For instance, for the men, if you want erection to last long, you can massage your feet and your blood will rush to your penis and stay there for long. You don't need no aphrodisiac or nothing like that. There's ways. Our body is like a great model. The melanin body is seriously, it's like a machine. But because we don't understand how it works, that's why we are relying on their medication and all this nonsense to kill the body. But our body is the most sophisticated machine that there is. So, but it's because we don't know, and there are certain herbs that you can eat, yeah, that you never go hungry, like ever. You never even eat anything, So you put in your mouth and you will never go hungry. So you keep slim and tender and healthy forever. We don't know, we've lost all those science, So this is why we are all walking aimlessly like we don't know what we're doing. And now they're bringing LGBT, So I said to you, LGBT now is not for us, it's for the next generation. 50 years from now, none of us will be here. Well, most of us won't be here anyway. Yeah, and the ones that are coming along, they will accept it as normal. So this is why I'm asking, ask your children today, what are their thinking? What are their ways? What do they think all the time. So it creates an awareness for the next generation.
Ashe, thank you so much. There's a lot that we could go into from what you've said there, my brother, but that will, I'll try and bring them in as topics for further discussion on other shows. Thank you for that contribution there. Sean, you've got 2 minutes.
Yes. Quickly. I accept that the pyramids are African, but what I do not accept here, what I do not accept is the capacity. We in our capacity right now, it's impossible to achieve what was achieved back then, and there's a lot of other things back then. I accept again, that one thing I don't accept as well is that what my man just said there. He's basically saying what the Dogons are saying is how can I put it without in a nice way? It's BS, basically. He's basically saying what the Dogons are saying is BS, the sky people and that. And I don't accept that. I don't accept that all these different cultures who've had no contact with each other, are having similar stories is BS. I do not accept that. But I respect what he's saying about we did build the pyramids, but not in our capacity. Not in our capacity now. It's impossible. You know the size of the stones of them things? Our machines, we can't replicate that today. So I do accept we did do it. But it was a superhuman miracle, unnatural state that how we did that. We didn't do that in our capacity now. So the capacity we did do that in, we weren't. Oh my gosh! It's my mind cannot comprehend what kind of state we was in. So I appreciate he don't believe in aliens or whatever, but what we achieved back then, we wasn't. It wasn't a huge. I can't.
Okay, let me help you there. I hear what you're saying, my brother. We are superhuman beings who have lost our power. And we have lost knowledge of our power as well. Brother Malema, what a fantastic conversation we've been having. I want to rise up everybody who's participated in the debate for this last hour of the show. Brother Malema, Dr. Abu, Brother Nana Bonsu, Brother Nene Kuti, Brother Sean. Thank you, each and every one of you, for the contributions towards the discussion. We all have a piece of the jigsaw and a bit of that knowledge, and I want to thank you for sharing the knowledge that you've acquired and putting it into this part of the show. Okay, Brother Malema, handing over to you now, my brother.
Yes, Sister Shanice. Yeah, I've been trying to hold my tongue. Well, I think before we move on to our presentation, you're right. I have to add some things to what is said now. You can't leave it that.
Go ahead.
Look. I see our people. Honestly, a lot of the time, I don't talk much about the so-called alien, quote unquote, theories and all the rest, for one reason, because a lot of the time, for me, I feel it's a distraction, because our people are not even understanding the basic things of what we need to do now. But since we're with it, let's get down to it. So honestly, before we go into even that, I just want to read. You were earlier on, Sister Shanice. You were just quoting some of the words from that quote I always read from Lord Macaulay and all the rest. I think it's important we read that before I even go into a little bit into answering my bit on this, because it will put everything in context. The problem we have as our people, I always keep saying it. It's really simple. Wherever you see African people, Black people, they're always trying to catch up, trying to validate themselves, try to be not so much, but because they haven't got a strong position. They have no narrative. It's simply political speaking. They have no narrative. A narrative is really simple. What's your story? For example, me, I have a story. The reason I'm not confused, it doesn't matter what is happening around the world. I can never be confused because my mind is correct. I know who I am and I have a position in everything. You understand? I gave the story when I came here as a young person. To United Kingdom, Britain, or whatever. In my school, there was no one Black person inside it. It was just me and my sister. Okay? Some kids tried to make fun of me or whatever. I stood up to them. I said, if you do this,
if you make fun of me, I shove them or whatever. They never did that again. Because I never tried to bend down, try to speak like them. I still have my accent today. Okay, I'm 40. I got my accent. We have Africans who come here, within 5 years they lost their accent because they pretend to be like other people. So anyway, I'm going on a bit. My point is this. Look, Africans must have a narrative, a position, in other words. Yes? Then you have a narrative and a values, and you project that to the outside world. Okay? So Westerners, they've been able to manipulate the world because they've always had a narrative. Yes? Now Chinese are coming up. They have their own narrative. Indians will come up. They will have their own narrative. The Africans have no narrative. This is why he's jumping from one place to another trying to justify anything. So when you don't have that, you cannot teach it to your people. And then whatever they bring you into confusion. And because you cannot equate with them, you always feel inferior to try to fit in here and there. So now coming back then to the question thing, let me read what I was saying. That will explain everything. Okay? So I have Lord Macaulay, 1835. I've read this so many times. Everyone should just know it by now. Okay? Because it hits to the point of what we're talking about. I have traveled across the length of breadth of Africa. I have not seen one person who's a beggar. Okay, this is not 5,000 years ago. It's not 1,000 years ago. This is just 200 years ago or whatever. It's not 1,000 years. It's not type of your civilization. 200 years ago, you can see, he's not someone stupid. Okay, he's a top high person in the British government, in the British parliament and all the rest and stuff like that. So he knows what he's talking about. So this is what he's saying. 200 years ago, I have traveled across the length and breadth of Africa. I have not seen one person who's a beggar. There's no one who is poor. Okay? Who is a thief? Such wealth I have seen in the country. Such high moral values of the people. The people know about my heart. The people are peaceful. The people love themselves. The people love each other. They're not thief and whatever. Okay? This is more important. This is what Africans never get. And they never quite understand. Okay? I do not think we will ever conquer this country. So he's saying African is one country. Okay? It's not individual tribes and all the rest. It's one country. Yes? Unless we break the very backbone of this nation, which is the spirituality and cultural heritage. Spirituality means like what we call today religion. Yeah? More or less, even though it's been corrupted. But something to do with God, so to speak. Because I don't want to use big words Africans will not understand. God, basically. Yeah? That's what spirituality means. Okay? And it says the cultural values, the cultural heritage. Cultural heritage is what you hold important. For example, the different ethnic groups within Africa, they have their culture, like the dances, the language, yeah, the value system, like man, woman, etc., etc. Okay, so what did he say? I propose that we replace our old and ancient education system, which I'm going to talk about today. All right? So one of the things we don't know ourselves is education. Okay, yes, we have the media, but education is primarily one of it. Okay? Our culture, if Africans think that all that is foreign and English or French or Arab or Chinese, greater than their own, they will lose their self-esteem, yes, any self-worth, yes? Then they will sell themselves for money. They will sleep with people like old women, young men sleeping with an old woman from Germany, in Gambia, because they want more money, because that's the only thing they care about, the value that is important. I would never sleep with anybody it doesn't matter. You understand what I'm trying to say? Mm-hmm. It's not because I'm wealthy now or whatever. It's just my value. I would not do that. You understand? But when your mind is corrupted, you would do that because if you get some money, yeah, even if you slept with an old white woman with 70 or whatever, you would think you're better. Okay? So that's what he's saying about. So more importantly, he said, their native culture, and they will become what we want, a truly dominated nation. In other words, slaves. So coming back then with this insight, yeah, what we're talking about aliens and all the rest and stuff like that. Look, we will go into it in future, but for now, look, a simple thing is like there's evidence for Africans being around in the world for not just millions of years, but billions of years, okay? And Africans, as I said, we not only live in Africa, all around the world, okay? So in terms of what we're talking about, pyramids and all the rest, and you touched on it about like the power points, the vortex points and all the rest, that were linked to like what do you call today Egypt today or ancient Kemet, etc. Okay, that's what the axis of it. So today you have what is called meridian time. You have like based on London. They moved it from Egypt, yes, to London. Okay, they did that on purpose, so that because the Britain was a dominant country then, so they can control the world and all the rest and stuff like that. So my point is that the doggone are not talking rubbish. Today, anyone can see that the doggone today where they're living in an isolated area. So there's no way they will come knowledge that it was so advanced. Even 50 years ago, Westerners were not able to pick out stars that they were able to pick up thousands of years. That knowledge comes from all the past, because in their modern capacity today, they're not able to do that. Okay? So simple logic and common sense will tell you that if you look all around the world, the pyramids are everywhere. Okay? So pyramid structure are massive monuments were built thousands upon thousands of years ago. So there have been cycles of world in history that the world has been destroyed, but the people have come up again. So simply put, Africans have had civilization for millions and millions of years. And there's evidence of, for example, in Africa, for example, they can find mines that are millions of years old. I'm not making this up. This is a fact. If you just read, you will know about this. So my point is this, okay? Final thing, Sister Shanice, you were also talking about Africans inventing all sorts of stuff because they can use the energy. So like I said, everything comes from blackness, okay? The Earth today, it did not just come about. Earth is just like a planet. So in our own galaxy, yes, in our own area of the world, we have the Milky Way galaxy, okay? Then the planets Earth, obviously you have Mars and other areas and so on and so on. But you have billions of galaxies, okay? So Earth is an extension of the universe, and then we, as the people who come out of the universe, are the extension of Earth and the universe. Okay, so when you guys are talking about the stars and all the stardust and all the rest, we have the same material that stars are made of, made between us. But again, you have to go into science to put everything in context. So my point is that there's a guy who was in Zimbabwe. It's called Maxwell Chikimbuso. Okay, He designed an electrical TV, electrical plane, etc. Yes, that's self-powered. Just like the stuff that I forgot his name. This guy who was living in Croatia, he showed how you can do like electricity, but they killed him. Anyway, I'll come back to you when I remember his name. But my point is that he didn't go to school. He had all this knowledge himself from his natural thing. Just like you were just talking about, like the black girls who solved the mass program. Africans, there's millions of Africans. If you just look around YouTube and all the rest, you can see they've invented a lot of stuff. But what happened with Maxwell Chimbuso? Okay, he didn't get any help from his government. He didn't get any help from other Africans. So what did he do? He did what so many of them do. He turned to the whites, yeah, the Westerners, and he disappeared. Okay, so his invention has gone nowhere. He's disappeared. No one can find him now. He's basically disappeared off that thing. No one knows where he is because they didn't want his invention to get there. So what is the moral of the story? What is the thing? Africans is really simple. Okay, you must achieve unity. Second thing, you need Sankofa. Return back to your ancient things, yes, and then from there, everything else will solve. There's nothing that you cannot invent. Even all the key inventions in the world, like fridges, mobile phone, even if you look at stuff like the internet and stuff like that, engineering is invented by you people. But your invention has been stolen because other people have a position which they use. So, for example, if you look at NASA, yes, NASA, the U.S. Space Agency, you can see all sorts of people around the world there, including Africans there. But when they achieve something, the power will go to white Americans and to promote white supremacy because they have a position and they have a unity. You don't. Until you do that and you have a position and you have your own narrative, you will go nowhere. And people will keep bringing all sorts of stuff to you and you keep being confused and asking why. There's no why. It's nothing new. Get your own position and have unity so you can move forward. Until then, you will be a slave. Bumbling around whatever people are doing. That's just it. Yeah, okay, I'll leave it there.
Rise up, my brother. Yes. Now, we're in your moment now. You've been joined by... my brother?
Sister Shanice, I've sent you the clips about the guy
Okay,
called
so
Mahmoud
all right then. So I'm just one moment, please, my brother. Yeah, one moment, my brother. We're in your time now. A couple of callers have joined. Do you want to take the calls now, or do you want to take the calls? Yeah, you want to bring in the callers?
Let's take them.
Okay, I've got two callers on the line, Brother Nana Kuti and Brother Nana Bonsu. Okay, Brother Nana Kuti, go ahead. Brother Nana Kuti? Okay, Brother Nana Bonsu, are you there? Oh, you're there. Okay, yes. Come closer to the mic, my brother. Go ahead.
Yes. What did you want me to talk on something? What the mama said?
Oh, right. Well, were you there all along?
No, I left. I thought I follow you.
Okay, yeah. No, please do remain on mute. Brother Malema was just responding to, all of the calls and points that were being made earlier. So thank you for that contribution earlier, Brother Nenakuti, and thank you, Brother Malema, for your response. Nana Bonsu, did I just add you, or did you want to come in and comment on anything that Brother Malema said?
Yes, you did just add me, and a point of correction. Point of correction about something that Brother Moses said. He said that nobody knows where Sangolale Maxo Chikumbuso is. We do know where he is. He's in Los Angeles, or he's in California, United States of America. That's where he is. I've been researching him and following him. Mm-hmm. Right. He also said Africa didn't invest in him. Yeah, that's not true. Also, an Angolan millionaire gave him $500,000. Didn't sign no contract with him. I've spoken about this several times over the last 3 strongs, and just said to him, just use the money wisely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's not true that Africans didn't invest in him. Yes, maybe the African governments did, but African businessmen did give him $500,000. That's a lot of money in Africa. You understand?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he did say the African governments, didn't he? He said the African government didn't invest in him.
What we do know, there were 3 attempts on his life. Mm-hmm. We know the enemy will make it look like it's our people trying to kill him because they want him and that giant himself. And if they were so concerning and loved him and all the rest of it, why would they not allow him to paint his invention? Because they're going to paint him themselves. You understand? So it's not necessarily true. And even when I phoned earlier, I mentioned his name. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'd mention his inventions as well. Okay, thank you so much for that interjection there, Brother Nana Bonsu. We have a whole show. I've got clips to play. We will get the opportunity to revisit some of these topics. Thank you so much for coming in with those points of correction and clarification. Okay, let's park that there, please, and let's go over now to the Malema University presentation for today, Wednesday, the 5th of April, 2023, on the Big G Galaxy Afiwi, the only de-brainwashing station. If you've just tuned in, you're locked in to Sister Shanice show on